So I get out the train station, I walk around for 20 minutes, unable to find any single fruit. So I asked an employee at a touristy building where I could find fruit, and her response amazed me. From strange tipping practices to insane political ads on every corner, my recent road trip through the American Midwest was full of surprises with 7 big things that stood out to me. If you're new here, hi, my name is Edinger, half American, half British, half YouTuber, half math major who didn't really like fractions. Let's start off with not the first thing I noticed, but the thing that blew my mind the most. So I've recently gotten into nutrition and caring a bit more about what I put in my body. It's not that hardcore, it's just making sure I get more fruits, vegetables, and fiber and whatnot. Usually when I'm on holiday in the States, I eat whatever I want. I mean, I eat comfort food, I eat at diners. I try not to think about it, it's not a big deal. But actively trying to find fruit or veg proved to be way more difficult than I could have ever imagined in some major US cities. Like, it's one of those things where if I'm not ever looking for it, I won't notice they're gone. But then as soon as I start looking for it, oh boy. My first morning in Chicago, I set myself up with a simple challenge. Buy the first fruit at any shop I come across during my day. This proved to be impossible. I walked 15 minutes from my hostel in Wicker Park to a highly rated restaurant and found nothing. Then at the restaurant, the only fruit or veg on the menu was a dish that included onions. So I politely just asked the waiter why they didn't have anything with fruit or veg in the menu, and the waiter told me they get people asking for fruit about once a week, but that's not enough for them to even consider putting any on the menu. Just weird, right? Is that not just weird? So I walked from the restaurant to the nearest transit station, which, asterisk aside, Chicago has pretty good public transit by American standards. I was very impressed until the evening when I realized the next train was in 25 minutes in a major American city, but hey, by American standards, incredible. Either way, as I walked to the nearest transit station, I still found no fruits, but I did find a few really nice donut places. But I was thinking, okay, maybe it's because I'm on the outskirts of Chicago, I'm not in the inner zones. So maybe if I head to downtown, that's where I can find some fruit, as that's where, more people are. This was where I was wrong. After getting off the train in downtown Chicago, I spent 20 minutes walking around, unable to find a single fruit. So I'm going crazy here. What the heck is going on? Has no one noticed this? So I asked an employee at a touristy building where I could find fruit, and her response amazed me. First, she said, "Fruit? You're in downtown." And I was like, well, yeah, there's a lot of people here, a lot of people that might want fruit. To which she replied, "Chicagoans don't have any time to eat fruit." What? So, I don't know, that's just a wild thing someone said to me. Turns out, eating an apple, eating a banana, it just takes too much time. But eating a donut, eating a bagel, 1,000-calorie cookie, and more on that later in the video, that's just more convenient for a Chicagoan, I guess. Hey, maybe the donut will have jelly in it, so that's part of your 5 a day. That is insane. Insane response. Either way, the nearby employee told me I might be able to try my luck going down the hall a bit, walking through the mall, and then getting my way into a Dunkin' Donuts, and sure enough, thank God, it turns out Dunkin' Donuts is a mecca for what I was looking for. A single solitary banana. I had finally found success in my challenge, and I did not feel successful. Oh my God. I don't know how people are able to live in a city like that where the options aren't even there. You have to go out of your way. I do know there are definitely big grocery stores you could go to on the outskirts of most American cities, including Chicago, to get fruits. But you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go outside of the city to get fruit. The fact that that's not readily available all over the place is a pretty big sign on why America is the way it is in certain ways. But on the topic of fruit, I ended up buying a lot of random fruit cups from the odd shops and gas stations during my road trip, and it wasn't until I had a fruit cup at my local Greggs in Greenwich in London, which, by the way, is not normally high quality stuff, in which I realized the fruits that I had in America compared to Greggs were really, really bad. The Greggs ones were juicy. They were sweet. They felt fresh. At Greggs. For anyone that's not been at Greggs, imagine me just singing praises about the Walmart Subway and being like, that's the best sandwich I ever had. You're like, okay. That's how good the fruits are at Greggs compared to just any fruit cup in the States. Blown away. Every single fruit cup I did seek out in the American Midwest was just quite mid by comparison. So not only is fruit not easily accessible, but when you do find it, well, maybe understand a bit more about why they're harder to find. They're just not great. Obviously, if I'd gone out of my way to a big grocery store on the outskirts of the city, I would have no doubt found fruits. There's probably Americans already very angry, you should have gone 10 miles out of the city to the giant Safeway or something. I shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to do that. There should just be fruits in random stores, even if it's a donut place like the Dunkin' Donuts. Just put some fruits in the front, Is that really that much to ask? I don't think so. I just don't think you should have to go out of your way to find the most basic form of healthy food. Whereas making it so incredibly easy to find things like donuts doesn't bode well. So Despite the food in Chicago being incredibly tasty, I do not know how you can live there without easy access to fruits. Okay? I'm just throwing it out there. Bad pun. Now, to add a bit of positivity here, out of everywhere that I traveled in the US, which so far is this map, I'd say Midwesterners are by far the nicest. Like those memes that you see about Americans just asking how you're doing, you know, they're striking up a conversation, they're being super helpful. That was like everyone that I met in the Midwest. Like people in Pittsburgh, the city that at one point was known as the gateway to the Midwest, were just all so kind, all so talkative to me, whether I was getting a shot for an upcoming video or just wandering around. People were just so nice. Ohioans, also super nice. Everyone in Illinois, very, very lovely. Even people in random restaurant chains just felt nicer. Like the people that, they're just working their job and it just felt like they were really nice. Not like fake nice, they just felt so nice. It reminded me of how like every time I've gone to the north of England, the people there in Yorkshire, they're just kinder. They talk to you, they're nice. So I feel like the Midwest in the States is just so similar to like Sheffield and everywhere up north. It's just nice. I will say though, that being said, I did have a very interesting conversation in Detroit, Michigan. So I was ordering one of those famous Detroit-style pizzas, which was for a video that is hopefully coming on my second channel soon, where I'm trying all the food from the area. So stay tuned for that. But as I, was picking up the food, the employee asked me where my accent was from, because everyone's so talkative in this area. She asked me where I'm from. She asked me like what I'm doing, and I told her, I'm originally from Jersey, but I've lived in London for 12 years. I'm shooting some videos here, going to a film festival in Toronto today. Just standard fare. And I said I'm also excited to vote later in next week. And to this, she responded with what I can only describe as the most polite tone imaginable, but the words did not match the tone at all. She said, "Oh yeah, we love it when you Europeans come over here and tell us how to vote." And I'm like, whoa, that was, what is going on? First off, first time I've ever been referred to as a European. Secondly, I was like, well, no, I am from Jersey. Like, I am American. I pay my taxes. I actually have the right to vote. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. We just love it when you guys tell us what you think of our elections. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get out of here. The sheer canyon between how incredibly nice and polite her tone was and what like the subtext was of what she was saying was just too uncomfortable for me. I had to get out of there. Is that like a Midwestern thing to be ultrally kind on top, but hiding sheer contempt? Because listen, I didn't even say anything about who I was voting for. I was just saying, I am going to vote. And she's like, stop telling us how to vote. I'm not. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, that was just one sheer aside. I ended up going to Canada and they were nicer than I was treated in Michigan, I will say. Number 3. Now, I've been gone from the US for 12 years and I worked there as a waiter for 5 years, where tipping is still expected in that field, but nothing could have prepared me for just how much tipping has wriggled its way into every possible interaction in American society. At one point, I'm in Akron, Ohio, just stopping by a Starbucks to pick up a pumpkin spice frappuccino because I'm a basic boy. That said, I choose the drive-thru, which now does come off as a bit foreign and weird, because I don't really drive in the UK, so I'm like, oh, a drive-through, how convenient. I don't have to get out of my car. So I hop back on the interstate, everything seems nice, right? So I place my order, and as I pull up to the pay window, an employee leans out of the pay window, her arm fully outstretched, and she turns the device to me and just locks eyes and says, "It's gonna ask you a question. You don't have to say yes." Jesus Christ, what if I'm ordering a frap? I'm ordering a coffee drink at a Starbucks through a drive-thru, and I get the, would you like to tip, starting at 18%. A coffee drink at a drive-thru? It's just so uncomfortable. I just couldn't believe that this is now a thing in drive-thrus. What the heck? It was the puppy dog eyes. I was like, what the? And yet again, I had a similar interaction at a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru in a different state on this road trip, where I felt like the employee was purposefully trying to parody that South Park episode about the Whole Foods, in which she literally asked me, "Would you like to donate $1 to feed the hungry children?" Which hungry children? I don't know.
Would you like to add a $1 donation to help hungry kids around the world?
Oh, no, that's okay.
So with the no help for hungry kids, that's $18.87. Your change is right there. Just pull the sandwich out of the little girl's mouth.
First, you got everybody asking you for tips because they're not paid very fairly. Then you get people asking for charity so that the companies they work for can get tax write-offs. Then you get asked to pay more in tax because the tax isn't included in the price. I don't know how you guys put up with it each and every day. Each one of these interactions is so draining. Oh, God. Got to the point, this was like the worst time. I went into a random cafe in Chicago and I just wanted a bottle of water. I'm so thirsty. There's a little thing there. I pick up the bottle. I put it on the counter. This is all I want. Just this, thanks. Spins it around. Would you like to tip me? What did you do, sir? You did nothing. I got the water and I put it on the counter. What have you supplied me? A smile? I'm not paying for smiles. What did you do besides ask me to pay? Do you want me to give you a little parade? I don't think so. Jesus Christ. I don't know how Americans deal with this every day. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot going on in the world. But this just hurts. We've got some service charge creep entering the UK, and I just don't want that to come here. It is just not good, okay? Oh, God. It just feels like it's gone too far. We need some sort of legislation to be like, pay everyone a fair wage, add the taxes to the price, stop begging everybody for money all the time. I just want my bottle of water, my bottle of water, my bottle of water. Oh. And compose. Number 4 is a quick one. Despite having no real alternative to driving, I found it wild just how much of the infrastructure I had to drive on for my trip was a toll road. I'd basically be on a toll road, have to pay before crossing state borders to get on a different toll road for that state to then pay their toll, and then it just was tolls all the way up, like turtles all the way down. Depressing. The worst of this, the worst offender, yet again, sorry, Chicago. There's a part of Chicago that's less than 8 miles. It's a road called the Skyway. You get on it to get out of the city, and they charge you like $10 for 8 miles of road to then hop on a different toll road to pay Indiana or something. Why? What money? God. If it would make sense if these tolls were a way to de-incentivize driving, to be like, hey, stop driving. We'll take money from you. Instead, what if you use that toll money and bought a train ticket? Except, America has no functional passenger rail throughout the U.S. Obviously there are some pockets of it that are somewhat functional, but I would have taken the train. I would have loved to have taken the train if it wasn't a 24-hour journey from basic destinations that I wanted to go to. So, yet again, it's just another example of everyone in America trying to get your money, including the roads. The roads! I basically had no other options as well. However, I do just want to give a quick asterisk and shout out, Michigan. Most of the Michigan roads I had to drive on, no tolls. Thank you, Michigan. You're a great state for that reason. I will forgive that weird passive-aggressive person in the pizza place, but the toll roads, the lack of them, thank you. I'll definitely go there again. But also, while I'm on the topic, and I do love throwing in extra fun facts into videos, I did have to drive the entire length of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And if you've ever had to drive that, you know where this is going. Well, if you didn't know, Pennsylvania Turnpike is the most expensive toll road in the world by a huge margin. It's over $130 just to drive on a road. The second place is nowhere even near that. Thanks, Pennsylvania. Not only that, not only do you have to spend a lot of money to go on the stupid road, you have to be surrounded with Pennsylvania drivers, which, Jesus Christ, it really solidified my hatred for Pennsylvania drivers. They are the worst drivers out of any state I've ever driven in. They camp in the fast lane. They have no idea what they're doing. People will be riding their butts, and they'll be like, oh, I guess you should just stay in the left lane. Why not? Why? Oh, they're just so unaware of everything. Every other driver in every other state that I drove through was like totally competent. But as soon as it was Pennsylvania, Jesus Christ. A menace to the rest of the USA. New York drivers were aggressive. All right, they were kind of scary, but I could deal with that. I can't deal with Pennsylvania drivers just not knowing how to drive on their own roads. But having driven over 2,000 miles across many states really allowed me to see just how inundated Americans are with political ads at the moment. I believe hopefully this should have calmed down by now, but for the entirety of Pennsylvania, nearly every single billboard was a Trump ad with the tagline, endorsed by billionaire Elon Musk, which is very weird, as they were pretty much everywhere. The entirety of that turnpike was just constant Trump ads, which, hey, I guess that worked. But then as soon as I crossed into Ohio, it switched. Now all the billboards were Kamala Harris. And I just think that's so interesting. It's almost like the powers that be placing these giant chips of money like pawns on a risk table, moving around trying to play their cards right. And well, that went well for one side, didn't it? But even when I wasn't on the road, I just felt like I could not escape political ads. I'd sit down at a sports bar in Pittsburgh to enjoy a famous Pittsburgh sandwich. It was good. And they had the Steelers game on. Everyone's cheering for their local team. And in between every commercial break were the most grueling ads for senators, for congressmen, for local politicians, for the president. But they weren't ever really about that politician. Every single ad was this awful smear campaign thing, being like, this guy is bad, he's killing children. And then the other rival would come on TV and be like, actually, that guy is bad and he wants to transition immigrants or something like that. And you could just see the crowd of people, their faces look so sullen. First off, Steelers did lose, so they're already pretty depressed. But then also, You can't even look away. There's TVs all over the place. You can't even enjoy a sandwich without seeing some politician telling you that the world's going to end. It just felt so dystopian. This also happened in a diner in Jersey on my final day. I was just trying to enjoy my breakfast, and then just every TV in the diner is constantly playing the news, which coincidentally is rarely the news and mostly just ads for politicians telling you how the world is going to end. And that's just not a thing I've ever experienced in the UK or Europe in anywhere I've ever been. And if you think about it, it makes sense why so many Americans feel so desensitized with the recent election and politics in general if they're constantly being bombarded with messaging about everything and everyone being bad all the time. Conveniently in between ads for pharmaceutical companies that are like, hey, are you not happy? Are you stressed? Ask your doctor about our drug. A topic which I have made an entire video about over there. But most Americans that I spoke with just wanted the election cycle to end. And it's a shame that there pretty much is no end as US political campaigns start like 2 years before elections, so it never really feels like you can ever escape. I'll probably make a full video on this in the future, as I do feel like the UK method of limiting political campaigns to 4 to 6 weeks before an election makes way more sense. You know, for your mental health, for actually caring about the election, because it's not like you're desensitized to it, and even the fact that you aren't allowed to have many ads about politics on TV outside of from party political broadcasts allocated by the government. I just feel like that would be better for everyone, and anything is better than what's currently going on in the US. In it, bruv. Whew. Well, back onto some positives. One big thing I noticed throughout the entirety of the Northeast and Midwest is that American cities really do autumn or fall so much better than British ones. The trees in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, they're all just so bright and vibrant. The reds, the yellows, the oranges, they're unlike anything you can really get in any UK city outside of an arboretum or something. And it just makes everywhere look so beautiful. I took so many photos of the fall foliage during my trip, and it just made me miss the US a bit, because the UK just, I feel like the leaves go from like green to brown and they fall off, whereas just so much color in the US during autumn. It's lovely. Also, I know Halloween is much bigger of a US thing than a UK thing, but it's just so pleasant how hard Americans go into decorating for it. Sure, it's consumerism on steroids, and people are buying so many things they don't actually need. So many fake gravestones and inflatable skeletons and witch hats and yada yada. But the vibes it adds to the neighborhood, immaculate. Decorating your front yard is such a net positive for everyone else in your community, and it just shows you care, and it's just nice. Every town I went to had so many different decorations out, every little home, and it was just really pleasant, to be honest. Like I said, on one hand, I'm like, everyone's just buying all these stupid things, but then that part of my brain goes, shut up, man. Look how pretty it is. You know, just, this is nice. It's nice. So that's one thing, yet again, I do miss about the States. Now, I am gonna cram a lot of things into this final category before a bonus one after the spawn, so stay tuned as that one's pretty funny. But I'll start off by saying, I heard a lot about how good frozen custard was in the Midwest when researching my big video on the secret ingredient ruining ice cream. But I can now safely say, everything I learned is true. Honestly, the Midwest has such good ice cream and frozen custard as a standard everywhere. Even at a fast food chain which specialized in butter burgers and their frozen custard, so they could have cut corners here, they could have done it like every other chain has done, but they didn't. And Culver's, which was the name of it, oh my God, they had such good frozen custard. It just kind of blew my mind. I had a concrete, which was like vanilla frozen custard with Oreos mixed in, and it was like the best McFlurry I've ever had. It felt like I was tasting something from a specialty ice cream parlor, and it was just a chain of burger ice cream place. Wild. Absolutely wild. Also, yet again, the people that were there helping me, the employees, were like the kindest people I'd ever met. And it felt real. Midwest is very nice. They got good frozen custard and everyone's really nice. Coffee though, all right, let's back it up. Now when it comes to coffee though, I will say, Chicago, not the one. So far, New York is pretty much the only US city I've been to that has good coffee as a standard. A lot of places in the Midwest either don't know what a flat white is. What? It's 2024, mate. Come on, what are you doing? Or they'd offer different sizes of it, which shows they don't know what a flat white is. Or even weirder, they changed up the standard question when ordering any espresso-based drink. I tried to order a cortado at a place, and they asked me double or triple. That's the most American bullshit I've ever heard. Instead of single or double, they're just like, fuck it. We're not even gonna give you that option. Double or triple. Hell, you wanna quintuple that shot? No. Just, what? I feel like so many American cities treat coffee as a means to an end rather than a delicious thing. It's like you drink your coffee to get caffeinated rather than, you know, this can taste good. But then again, you know, the thing about light beer, so it's a similar thing. Also, I did just want to try this brand called Crumble Cookies, as a lot of Americans on social media since I left have been raving about it. So I find one of the places in Chicago and I go in and I was just so blown away by the fact that one single cookie, nearly 1,000 calories. What the I'm like freaking out, like that can't be possible, right? I asked the employee, like, that must be wrong, and she went, no. Person next to me said, oh yeah, supposedly you're supposed to split it up into 4 bits. And I'm like, have you seen the size? That's like a standard, how the hell is it packed with that many calories? I see people walking in, they order the cookies, they eat the whole thing, and I'm like, that's half of your daily calories in a cookie. And listen, I'm on holiday. I'm eating fast food, I'm eating pizza, I'm eating frozen custard, I'm having a time. And yet, the idea of 1,000-calorie cookie, I just can't. For extra context, the most calorie-dense donut from Dunkin' Donuts is like a Boston cream donut, and that's like 300 calories. One of these cookies is over 3 donuts? What? And people just eat it, and they're like, oh yeah, I was there for breakfast. People were there for breakfast. No fruits, 1,000-calorie cookies. I can't. There's like some things where I'm like, oh, I miss fall. I miss Halloween. I don't miss that, all right? And you know what? I was mad. I wanted to try it. I just wanted to try a little bit. And I went, oh my God, they have small versions of the cookies. Maybe I'll just get one of those. Stupid me. This is America. You can't just buy one small cookie. That's not good for capitalism. You have to buy 3 at a minimum. So that way, you can't just enjoy one. You have to eat all of them. You give them more money. You have to consume more calories. Fuck me. While I was touring Chicago, I did this amazing architectural tour of the city by boat, which I do highly recommend. And in Canada, I visited Niagara Falls, which was obviously very, very beautiful.
And behind me is the London Eye. What links all of these 3 things together? Well, they can all easily be booked with today's video sponsor, Head Out. London, Chicago, New York, all incredible cities, full of things to do, but oftentimes tourists can get overwhelmed with choice. Well, luckily, Head Out removes that headache.
With Head Out, you can easily book a wide array of activities, like riding the London Eye, to even going to see a West End show with a friend, like Book of Mormon, which we're seeing right now. Head Out is super useful whether you're visiting London, New York, Amsterdam, you name it. If you've got a trip coming up or just want to book a few cultural things to do around your city, be sure to click the link in my description to get a special discount just for viewers of this channel. Don't let booking tourist attractions do your head in. Use Head Out. That's actually a slogan I came up with. So Head Out, if you want to use that, please pay me, because I'm quite proud of that. Anyway, click the links in my description to get up to £20 off your first purchase using Head Out. Anyway, thanks Head Out for sponsoring. Let's wrap this up. So here I am at JFK, a crumbling US airport, waiting in the queue for security while a man constantly walks up and back and forth the queue, constantly trying to bully people into signing some sort of 14-day free trial to avoid the queue by tricking you, saying, oh, if you can skip the queue if you have an American passport and a credit card. And I'm like, oh, sweet. And he's like, yeah, you just gotta sign up for this 14-day free trial. Oh, sure, yeah, that's what we all need, another freaking paid subscription service. Anyway, thanks for subscribing, that's actually free. But when I finally get to the big x-ray machine, the final boss at the security line, right? I lift my arms up. I'm doing standard protocol, right? But then the worst thing happens. I get beeped. Not just any beep. When I look at the outline of my body on the screen, I see it look completely blank, except when they find a little heat patch of what could be potentially dangerous. There's only one big red circle. It's right on my Johnson, all right? I don't know why. I've just got a hot crotch, all right? Is that a disease? I shouldn't say that. Now, I immediately joke with the TSA agent, okay? I used humor as a coping mechanism. I'm like, oh, great. Now you gotta touch my dick. Hooray for me. And his response, probably the worst thing I never could have prepared for, his response was, hey, aren't you on YouTube? You're the language guy. Great! Oh, great. You know, the only thing worse than being felt up at an airport by someone you don't know is someone that knows you, all right? And he's gonna be able to walk away saying, yeah, I actually felt the dick of that Duolingo guy. Hooray, hooray. I mean, felicidades. God damn it. Random person, we're gonna part ways. I'm never gonna remember this. He's hopefully never gonna remember feeling, but this guy, god damn it. Oh, it was a good road trip. Either way, great road trip. I've got a lot of big videos coming to your feed this month, so thank you for watching from your YouTube homepage. Even if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, I still appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Remember when YouTube content was more than just, optimizing every millisecond of viewer engagement time to make sure that everything matches the title and whatnot? Well, hello. The video has ended, so you're free to go. But I felt it a crime not to mention at some point in this video one of the biggest things that I took away from this entire trip, which was Chicago is architecturally one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. I'm just editing up some of the photos that I took of the city in Lightroom, and it's just banger after banger. It's so incredible how beautiful these buildings are, how they talk with one another. They're also unique yet similar. They complement each other, and they're just beautiful. It's almost like going to an art gallery for buildings, and I'd never heard about this before. I didn't know just how beautiful Chicago was in terms of its architecture, but if you do end up visiting the city, honestly, or if you have in the past, please tell me your thoughts. I was just blown away. And I know that Instagram is a dead platform these days for anyone like me that likes just taking photos. So I felt it such a shame that no one would see these photos that I had taken of this beautiful city. So Chicago, incredible architecture. Honestly, very good food, despite the lack of fruit. The food was top tier, and I would highly recommend it if you've never been. So there you go, little addendum to this video. And for those before you comment, yes, the fairy lights are dead. I need to replace them, so effing chat. Drove to Chicago, all things know,